Trauma is a thief. It steals more than the moment of pain or betrayal. It invades your body, your mind, your very way of being in the world. You didn't ask for this. You didn't deserve it. But here's the hardest truth. Healing is your responsibility now. Not because you caused it, but because your life depends on reclaiming your power beyond it. No one signs up for trauma. No one expects to carry wounds that echo long after the event is over. Yet, trauma doesn't simply vanish when the pain ends. It lodges itself deep inside, in the way you breathe, in your nervous system's constant alert, in the patterns of trust and fear that shape your relationships. It colors your perception of safety, love, and worth, often without you even realizing. Healing isn't about assigning blame or waiting for justice. It's not about forgetting or pretending the pain never happened. It's about standing up for yourself and deciding that your trauma will no longer define your story. This process is neither easy nor neat. It's messy, nonlinear, and deeply personal. But it's also the only path back to a life where you can feel whole again. So if you're carrying wounds that feel too heavy to bear, know this: you are not broken beyond repair. You are a survivor with the power to heal. And that healing begins with owning your journey, painful as it is, because reclaiming your life is the bravest act of all. Trauma is far more than a painful memory lodged in your past. It's an experience that fundamentally reshapes how your brain and body operate, especially the systems designed to keep you safe. When trauma hits, your brain's threat detection system, often called the amygdala, is flooded with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. This flood doesn't simply turn off when the danger has passed. Instead, it rewires your brain to remain on high alert, as if the threat is still present. This constant state of alarm changes the way you experience the world. This rewiring creates what's known as hypervigilance, a heightened sensitivity to potential threats. Your body becomes primed to react, sometimes violently, to even minor triggers. You might find yourself startled easily, anxious in seemingly safe environments, or overwhelmed by emotions that feel disproportionate to the moment. This isn't a flaw or a weakness. It's your brain desperately trying to protect you, but now it's stuck in survival mode long after the danger has passed. Alongside hypervigilance, trauma often leads to feelings of disconnection from others, from your body, and even from your own emotions. You might find it hard to trust people or feel safe in relationships. Sometimes your body feels numb or shut down, a protective mechanism to avoid feeling pain again. This dissociation can feel like living behind a glass wall, watching life happen without fully participating. It's an adaptation to overwhelming pain, but one that also creates profound loneliness and isolation. Trauma doesn't just affect how you feel emotionally. It affects your physical health too. The constant flood of stress hormones wears down your immune system, disrupts sleep, and can contribute to chronic pain or illness. Your nervous system remains in a heightened state of arousal, which taxes your energy and reduces your ability to rest and recover. These physical symptoms are real and often misunderstood, leaving many feeling frustrated or unseen by medical and mental health professionals. When trauma rewires your brain and body this way, moving forward can feel impossible. You might feel stuck in a loop of anxiety, fear, or numbness, unable to break free even when you desperately want to. This sensation of being trapped in survival mode is exhausting and often misunderstood by those around you, and sometimes even by yourself. Recognizing this stuckness as a biological response rather than personal failure is a critical insight. Understanding the biological impact of trauma is not about pathologizing yourself. It's about gaining compassionate clarity. When you see that your brain and body are reacting based on deep-seated survival mechanisms, You can begin to stop blaming yourself for feeling off or broken. This awareness opens the door to self-kindness, patience, and realistic expectations for healing. Trauma recovery is slow because your nervous system needs time and safety to rewire. If you feel trapped in the shadow of trauma, it's not because you're weak or flawed. It's because your brain and body have been forced into overdrive by overwhelming experiences. Healing from trauma is not a gentle or tidy process. It doesn't mean wiping the slate clean or pretending the past didn't happen. Trauma leaves marks deep, raw, and often messy that demand acknowledgement. To heal, you have to confront the unfaceable, the pain, the betrayal, the fear that you might have buried or tried to ignore for years. This is a moment of brutal honesty with yourself, where you say, I refuse to let this control my life any longer, even if that truth shakes you to your core. Facing trauma is terrifying because it forces you to relive moments you wish could be erased. The memories can be overwhelming, the emotions raw and unfiltered. It can feel like walking into a storm without an umbrella. This confrontation is exhausting, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. It requires a depth of courage that few experiences demand. And yet, without this facing, trauma remains an invisible puppeteer, pulling strings beneath your awareness and shaping your reactions, your relationships, and your sense of safety. When trauma is unaddressed, it festers in the shadows of your psyche. It quietly influences how you respond to the world, sometimes through anger, withdrawal, mistrust, or self-sabotage. You might find yourself repeating painful patterns without understanding why. This unconscious shaping of your life isn't a failure on your part. It's a symptom of wounds that have never been properly seen or tended to. Ignoring this doesn't make trauma disappear. It lets it grow in hidden ways. Healing is about breaking this cycle of unconscious control. It's about shining light on the dark corners of your experience, even when the truth is ugly or painful. This doesn't mean rushing headlong into trauma without support or care. It means creating a container, a safe space where you can hold your pain without being overwhelmed by it. This space might be therapy, a trusted friend, a community, or even your own steady presence. Safety is the foundation that allows confrontation without destruction. This process is not linear or predictable. Some days facing your trauma feels possible. On others, it feels unbearable. You might want to turn away or shut down. These moments are natural and necessary parts of healing. Compassion toward yourself during these fluctuations is essential. Healing isn't about forcing bravery, it's about gently returning over and over to the truth, even when it hurts. By facing the unfaceable, you reclaim agency over your story. Trauma loses its power not because it disappears, but because you change your relationship with it. You no longer live under its shadow unconsciously. You bring it into the light where you can understand it, learn from it, and eventually transform it. This transformation is the heart of healing, a fierce, messy, beautiful reclamation of your life. So take a deep breath and ask yourself, what part of your trauma have you been avoiding? What support do you need to face it safely and kindly? Facing trauma is the hardest step, but it's also the most courageous, and it's the only path toward freedom. Healing from trauma is not a passive journey. It's active, demanding, and sometimes exhausting work. It requires more than hope or willpower. It needs intentional tools, consistent effort, and deep commitment. The path is rarely straightforward or easy, but it is necessary if you want to reclaim your life and move beyond the shadows trauma casts. No one else can do this work for you, but you don't have to do it alone. Therapy plays a critical role in this healing process. Modalities like EMDR and trauma-informed Cognitive behavioral therapy are designed specifically to help your brain safely reprocess traumatic memories. These therapies work by gently interrupting the patterns that keep trauma stuck, giving your nervous system a chance to heal rather than relive the pain. Finding the right therapist, someone skilled, compassionate, and trustworthy, can be a lifeline. Equally important is building a support system that can hold space for your healing without judgment or pressure. Trauma thrives in isolation, so connection is a powerful antidote. Whether it's friends, family, support groups, or online communities, having people who listen and accept you as you are creates safety. This safety allows you to be vulnerable, to express your pain, and to receive the empathy that helps repair the fractured self. Managing the unpredictable waves of flashbacks, anxiety, or dissociation requires grounding techniques, tools that help you anchor in the present moment when the past feels like it's crashing over you. Simple practices like deep breathing, mindfulness, sensory awareness, or physical movement can bring your nervous system back from chaos to calm. These techniques aren't a cure-all, but they're vital skills that empower you to regulate your emotional responses and reclaim control. Radical self-compassion is the foundation beneath all these efforts. Trauma often leaves a residue of shame, a toxic belief that you are to blame or unworthy of healing. Replacing shame with compassion is revolutionary. It means treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer a loved one in pain. This shift isn't about ignoring the past, but about changing the way you relate to yourself in the present. Compassion fosters resilience and creates fertile ground for transformation. The hardest truth is this: healing demands that you show up even when it hurts. There will be days when the weight feels unbearable, when retreating seems easier, when your progress feels invisible. But those moments are part of the work. They are the crucible where strength is forged. Each small act of courage, each therapy session attended, each moment grounded, each kind thought toward yourself builds momentum toward wholeness. So what tools have you already found helpful on your healing journey? Where might you gently challenge yourself to keep showing up, even when it's hard? Healing is the hardest work you'll ever do, and also the most necessary. It's your path back to peace, power, and presence. Trauma is a chapter in your story, but it is not the entire book. When your mind and body carry the weight of past wounds, it's easy to let those experiences become the lens through which you see yourself. But this identification with trauma is a trap, one that narrows your vision and diminishes the fullness of who you are. Healing means stepping beyond this shadow and remembering that your identity is far richer and more complex than your pain. Reclaiming your narrative is an act of profound courage. It means telling your story on your own terms, not allowing trauma to dictate the plot or define your worth. You begin to take ownership of your experiences without letting them imprison you. This doesn't erase the pain or invalidate the reality of what happened. Rather, it transforms suffering into a source of strength, a foundation from which you can rebuild. Central to this process is reconnecting with your values, those core beliefs and principles that guide your choices and give your life meaning. Trauma can feel like it shatters your sense of direction, but beneath the chaos, your values remain a steady compass. When you live in alignment with what truly matters to you, healing becomes not just possible, but purposeful. Your pain becomes part of a larger narrative of resilience and growth. Building resilience is another cornerstone of reclaiming your life. Resilience isn't about being unbreakable. It's about learning how to bend without breaking, how to recover after being knocked down. Each step you take toward healing strengthens your capacity to face future challenges with greater courage and grace. Your trauma may have tested you, but it has also revealed your ability to survive and adapt. You are more than what happened to you. This truth is both a balm and a call to action. It invites you to see yourself through a lens of compassion and possibility. It challenges you to invest in yourself, to nurture your strengths, and to cultivate a life that reflects the whole person you are becoming, not just the wounds you carry. So reflect deeply. What parts of yourself have been overshadowed by your trauma that you want to reclaim? How can living your values today reshape the narrative of your healing? This journey is about remembering and rebuilding who you are beyond the pain and embracing the power that comes from that truth. You didn't ask for trauma. You didn't deserve the pain or betrayal that came with it. That much is undeniable, and it's important to hold that truth close. But now trauma has become a part of your story, and with that comes a new reality. The responsibility to heal rests with you. This truth can feel heavy, even unfair, but it's also a powerful invitation. Taking responsibility for your healing is not a burden to bear alone. It's a chance to reclaim your life, your power, and your voice. It's an act of courage that says, I will not let what happened to me define who I am or who I will become. This is your moment to rewrite the narrative, not as a victim, but as a survivor and creator of meaning. Healing transforms trauma from a source of pain into a foundation for growth. This process demands bravery. Healing requires you to face uncomfortable truths, to feel deeply, and to persist even when progress seems slow or invisible. It asks you to be gentle with yourself in the hard moments and to celebrate every small victory. And most importantly, it invites you to believe in your own worthiness, your inherent right to peace, joy, and wholeness. You are absolutely worth this work. Your life is worth this fight. No matter how dark the past or how heavy the burden, healing is possible. It's a journey that unfolds one step, one breath, one compassionate choice at a time. And with each step, you move closer to a life lived fully, on your terms, with your truth. So as you move forward, remember this: the responsibility to heal is yours, yes, but so is the power. You are stronger than your trauma, and your future is waiting. Healing is the bravest thing you will ever do, and you are, without question, worth every ounce of that bravery.